Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Blacklist. Another great episode. In this episode, we had Reddington trying to join forces with a thief slash thrill seeker named Greyson, played by, I don't know how to properly pronounce the actor's name, Owain Yaman. Probably the thing I know him best for is Rigsby in on The Mentalist. Interestingly enough, did not know he was a British actor until he popped up in the episode of Elementary last season, and I was like, "Oh, you have an accent? What? You're British? That's so cool." Had no idea. That just shows you how good people are with accents. It's thrown me off. It's like, wait, you're British? To me, that's just the coolest thing when you, well, not even just British, but anytime someone drops their accent, I'm like, that's so cool. I don't know. It just, plays into the whole thing of how amazing actors can be, and also, but that's beside the point. Because Reddington wants to join up with this guy because this guy has connections, and it's like for Reddington, he's like, oh, if I join forces with him, no one would dare challenge me again, because obviously he's on the lower end, because everyone, even Greyson comments, I was like, oh, I heard that whole thing went down with you and your associate, referencing Kate. It's like, oh, she came close to dismantling you and your whole operation and everything. So everyone's heard rumors, because when Kate hit him hard last season, she hit him hard. As everyone knows, everyone, as the audience, we got to see that first, and not everyone else has, but obviously everyone's talking about the rumors and stuff like that. So Reddington's using this as an opportunity, mix up with a powerful player to kind of help restore his position and stuff like that. But I love, for one, having to go to Cooper to be like, hey, I need you to front me some money. The FBI needs to give me some money so we can do all this. For one, affording to throw a party just to fool, Greyson into thinking, keeping up appearances of him having a high position and stuff. And I appreciate what Cooper's position has been in this episode, because they're pushing it even more, because they brought it up immediately in the first episode of the season. It's like, hey, there's this new FBI director. He wants results. You can see it, Cooper being like, no, we're going to go see Reddington because he needs to give us a blacklist. We need some results. Now you can see him kind of being pushy a little harder. He has a lot harsher tone than he normally is, even when dealing with anybody. So it's just kind of it's just because, that everyone's breathing out his neck. So he's breathing on everyone else's necks and stuff like that. So this isn't about catching a blacklister in the beginning. It's all about meeting up with a blacklister to help him restore his position and everything. Like I said, borrowing that dude Paolo's place, and then it's just okay, Paolo can go over there, just smile and wave and play the piano, or we can throw him in a wine cellar the entire night. And it's he's gonna go, he's okay with it, and this smile on his face and tapping his shoulder, it's gonna be fantastic. And then Paolo would laugh and go, I love it. But above all that, pretending by throwing this amazing party over at the FBI having to front the money for it, as well as a forgery being made in a short span of 24 hours. I do appreciate the fact is he manipulated the guy, kind of did reverse psychology. Oh yeah, you're right. It'd be too hard. What you want me to do? I want you to kind of obviously make it fake, Rembrandt painting. It's oh, that's impossible. It's yeah, how long would you need it? And it's I'd need it in 24 hours. It's I can do it in 20. I love that. I even appreciate later on when it shows up. It's yeah, the painting's still wet, because even when Grayson's looking at it, he's oh, it's so vibrant, so beautiful. It's almost like the painting's still wet. It's I love that. That actually caught me off guard completely, because I was so certain that Reddington was going to when Reddington confessed, he's yep, actually I'm broke. This isn't actually even my place. I was oh man, I thought, Reddington has some other plan, or was it just all for the purposes of kind of buying enough time for them to get the painting in and all that? I don't know. It almost seemed like Reddington did have a backup plan, but not unless that was supposed to be. Because once again, Reddington just being so quick on his feet. Even when he was talking to Greyson at the beginning of the episode, it's oh, I got a place here on was it Lake Como, and he's just oh yeah, and I had this painting. It was I was saying whatever BS he can to get Grayson's attention. And then the moment is whoa, I thought you said you didn't have the paint. It's no, I don't have the paint because it's a gift to you. And it's you're so good at lying, Reddington. I love it. But what I really appreciate above all else is the fact is that the entire thing, joining up with Greyson, trying to steal a painting, but then having to make a forgery of it, because the lady he originally brokered the deal for, who has the painting he was going to show off to Greyson, actually sold it, which kind of upset Reddington a little bit because it's like she promised that she would call me when it was time to broker it, which kind of goes back to the whole question of does it have to deal with the fact is that he's not in the position he was anymore, or is it just because she was just like, oh, who cares, you know? Either way. But I love that all this was for naught. All of it was for the purpose of, like, you know, giving the painting to Greyson just to call him ahead of time. Like, and it also shows you how well in advance, like, Reddington is when it comes to tactics and stuff like that, to the point that he was able to plan that out ahead of time to get the fake painting in Greyson's hands so that he would be arrested. Not because it's like a fake painting, but because it's like, oh, he called it ahead, the inspectors ahead of time to be like, oh yeah, he stole my painting and stuff like that. It's so genius. And what I really appreciated too, and it's something that it's not even just that, like, it's the fact that Liz was having fun. You could tell from the beginning Liz started having fun, just like, oh yeah. And he's like, oh my God, you look so lovely. And she's like, you look, yeah, that shirt, is that pumpkin? He's like, she you know, the lady said that this was Tuscan sunset, like a Tuscan sunset. Like, yeah, okay. But even like there was moments where she's like, oh my God, we did it. Oh my God, we did it. That was so amazing. Like, she was legitimately having fun. And then when ready to pull that final like rug underneath everybody's feet and reveal the whole thing, she's like, wait a minute. So this was all about just so you could put Greyson in position so you could steal from him. And then, yeah, ready to be like, yep. She's like, that's cool. And then Renton's like, that's cool. She's like, oh yeah, I don't know whether it's the wine or the fact is that he called me sugar or the fact is that we're operating in a place I don't have jurisdiction. But anyway, this is kind of like, you see it immediately. I'm like, that's very interesting. Then them going back to his place, getting everyone like, you didn't get the call. We're here to cover things up. Greyson got arrested. It's time, people. It's showtime. We got to get rid of all this stuff. His passports, these files, get rid of everything. Why are you just standing here? And it's just like I said, he's so good at just going with the flow of things, or just kind of inserting himself and lying, coming up with lies so quickly. Sure, some of it's probably stuff he probably like workshopped a little bit, but it's just like, you're so good at lying. I love it. Even got a Picasso out of it. And even he was like, huh. And she's like, is that a Picasso really in the back of your seat? He's in your back of your car. He's like, yeah, that was a nice surprise. But just love how that unfolded like that. But once again, like, Liz having so much fun, because the interesting thing is, like, it makes me wonder, how does Reddington feel? Because Reddington kind of like made it seem like he never wanted Liz to change. He wants Liz to stay the way she is. But even Liz kind of says it kind of makes her a little afraid of Reddington, because being who Reddington is, that she knows that because he is her father, that there's a little bit of her in him, that they are a lot similar than she's willing to admit. Because, and I brought this up in the like first episode, like even from the first episode of the season, you can tell their dynamic has changed. She wants to pretend like it didn't, but even she is admitting, like, knowing that he's her father, like knowing that there's a part of him inside of her, like she like can't help it. Like, her dynamic will, like, Reddington isn't exactly the same, because you even see moments where it seems like, yeah, she's still a little reluctant on some of his plans and stuff like that, but it does seem like I don't know, I feel like she's a lot more laxer on Reddington than she used to be. Like, she always had, like, almost had fun with doing what her and Reddington did sometimes, but now knowing that he's her dad, she has even more fun. She even did that thing where she was fiddling with the coin and she made it disappear, just kind of like, and that's kind of, you know, showing you how Reddington's been this episode, as well as how he's always been kind of the sleight of hand, making you look over here when you should be looking over here type of thing, you know, never really showing what you're really up to, kind of like a Kansas Shuffle. I know I'm pulling that from Lucky Number 11, but I wonder, is that a real thing? That whole makes you look over here, you get someone to look over here while the magic's happening over here. That's the Kansas Shuffle. That's where I got that from. I don't know if that's legitimately the term for that or not, but that's how I've always associated that, just because of that movie. But nevertheless, so it's definitely going to be interesting going forward to see how their relationship develops in that sense. Because like I said, I feel like Reddington would, like, I'm sure for Reddington, it's like, oh, like, he probably like thinks it's kind of cool a little bit. But I think there's also a part of him that is worried because he doesn't want Liz to be like him. He likes the person Liz is. And I think eventually that probably will come up even more so. I mean, like, the whole, like, maybe Liz might kind of take the fun a little too far and start falling too deep on that side like Reddington, and it ends up coming to kind of blow up in her face. But granted, she did kind of point it out this episode. If she hadn't pointed it out, I would have been even more worried. But the fact that she pointed it out herself, like, that she kind of has to recognize that there's a lot more of Reddington there inside of her than she'd like to admit. Because it's like I said, it just because she even brought it up during the season 4 finale that, you know, basically that same thing, but now it's like the realization is she's spending this time with him that, yeah, it's really kind of happening more. Like, you know, like I said, because you can't, like, no matter what the situation is, she can't change, like, the fact that is her dad, and now that she knows it, like, whether she wants to or not, like, it's subconsciously affecting her in that regard, like, you know. And maybe, you know, it's really, maybe that's why her and Reddington always kind of have, like, a bit of a thing, in a sense of, like, he always tapped into that side of Liz that's him. Maybe she's always tried to fight it her entire life, that side of Reddington that's inside of her. The entire time they've known each other, she's always tried not to be like Reddington, just to try to be a good FBI agent. And maybe now it's kind of coming out more than she's ever experienced it before, you know? Maybe something like that. I know I'm not really phrasing it right. I'm really not to properly relay what I'm saying, so I do apologize. But probably one of my favorite moments too, besides all that, is like at the end where Harold is going in hard on Reddington. It's like, oh, you lie, you manipulated. The fact of the matter is we gotta pay for this party and everything, which you have Reddington kind of being smarter, has been like, oh, I mean, don't forget to kind of pay the catering, because they did just an amazing job. And just like all that for what? We don't get the credit for capturing Greyson. It's like, yeah, you do. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, the painting's fake, so they're going to let him go, because then it's going to turn into a situation they have no real evidence against him, while you have this evidence, the flash drive plus the jewelry he stole. So it's kind of like, yeah, everything's lined up so that you can take the credit. It's like, yeah, don't worry, Harold, I had your back. Like, the fact of the matter is Reddington knows, like, Reddington might pretend like he's just kind of like non-existent, like not paying attention to that whole situation, but he recognizes the seriousness of it, because he knows if he doesn't keep things good on the FBI side, if he doesn't keep the task force in a good position with everyone else, it starts bringing in unwarranted questioning and unwanted notice from other people, so he can't do what he needs to do, because he needs the task force help to raise back in the ranks. But also, like, having the task force by itself will also probably help the whole suitcase thing, which I'll get to that in a second. So it's just kind of an interesting thing, a development, and it's just like, but what was this all for? Because it was a coin, but the fact is he gives it to like Liz, but he never exactly didn't give it to her, but she was messing around with it. But it's like, why exactly did he want that coin? Because I guess the point was to steal it from Greyson, because he knew Greyson would be there to get it. So it's like the moment Greyson bought it, he was like, oh yeah, you know, now I can just take it from you. I don't even have to worry about spending my money or the FBI's money. This way I can keep my secrets close to the vest. Once again, it's something I brought up last episode too. Is like, the fact of the matter is, after what happened with Kate, he's not going to let anyone in on what he's doing going forward. And I think maybe even to some level, he's keeping Liz at a distance, mainly because of the whole suitcase thing. I think once the whole suitcase thing is like the case, I mean, I don't know if it's really a suitcase, but the case nevertheless. The moment that's taken care of, I think then he'll kind of let his guard down a little bit around Liz. But he's just so worried about her finding out, like, that body coming back to Liz and her finding out the truth, whatever it is that he's hiding, you know? I mean, and talking about that, for one, you have Dembe talking to a guy. I love the fact that Dembe is cooking, which Dembe's a cook too, and just the guy that was eating is like, that's actually amazing. It's like, wow, Dembe can cook too? He's never cooked before, has he? Because they went through a lot of trouble to show that. So I thought that was just kind of interesting. In the entire time we've known Dembe, they've never showcased his skills as a chef. He's pretty good. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, the whole saying of like, you could get more flies with honey than vinegar. So even asking, oh, what kind of wine would you like? And like, it's just, he handled the situation a lot differently than Reddington. Reddington seems like he flip-flops. Like, sometimes he'll give honey, sometimes, you know, he'll give vinegar. Like, that's just how he is. I guess it depends on the person, you know? Because a lot of times, I guess it also comes down to how much time he has. He's not really in a position to be very, like, accommodating in some regards. It's just kind of like yeah, I need this. Kind of like the house in the episode. It's kind of like, yeah, I need you to give me that, or I'm just going to take it by force, essentially. So, but along the same lines, like, of that same regard, you have Tom going to, God, I forgot the doctor dude's name. It's the dude who helped fake Liz's death. He's a dude that has a connection to Liz from the past. Which that guy was like, what? You want, does this have something to do with Reddington? No, I'm gonna back away from this because the last thing I want to do is get on Reddington's bad side because there was a whole, faking Liz death situation. Don't want to be in that position again. But, Tom is like, I have to do this because whatever this is, if I let anyone know, if I let Liz know about it, the moment she's going to do is take it to Reddington. She's going to tell Reddington. Reddington's just going to get it and destroy it and cover up whatever it is that he's hiding that, Kate, a good woman, made sure I got this. Granted, at the end, he's kind of like, hey, I'll help you out because it's like, for him, he's concerned about Liz, which there's a part of me that's like, nah, I don't 100% trust him because the last time Reddington probably crossed paths with him, he was like, okay, from now on, you work for me. Anything new that I need to know, you come to me. So that might be what he's going to like. Maybe he's trying to close in on Tom or something like that. I feel like if he had known, he would have told Reddington already, because he saw it firsthand. So I don't think that's it. I still think he's someone we need to be on the watch out for. I mean, to be fair, it could just be a situation of he legitimately is just trying to help because of Liz. Maybe like I said, that's all. With this type of show, you never know who you can 100% trust, So, but it's also interesting because they ended up tracking back to this guy, both Reddington and Dembe as well as Tom, and the guy wouldn't talk, so Reddington ended up killing him. And the guy gives Tom one last bit of information. He says a single name, Oleander. It's like, find him, that this person's connected to the case, which of course and then becomes like, okay, who is this Oleander? Obviously I'm very interested to see what this whole case situation is about, whose body that is, because every season's kind of got its own little mystery, and it seems like that's going to be this season. I'm just curious how long is the mystery going to be covered. And it's kind of interesting, since I'm talking about Tom, I'll bring this up because it was something I couldn't help but note. As last episode, I kind of brought up the whole fact is of just, the situation with Tom's character and stuff like that. I'm like, it's so interesting. What's most likely going to happen is they're going to bring it up, and then Tom's just going to be like, might mention some stuff here and there, but that's about it. Because at the beginning, him and Liz are making out hard, and then she's like, oh my god, you haven't oh, what have you been up to? Where you been? And it's no answers, because it's yeah, doesn't matter. And even Reddington kind of brings up, it's oh yeah, all the stuff you've been through. It's oh, your parents must be happy to have you back. It's which, like I said, last time we saw him, when it came to the Blacklist redemption, things weren't that good when it came to his parents. There was a circumstance all on his own. But once again, it's a situation where we, as the audience, will probably never get to know that story. But this, like I said, this is kind of written as if it's like I said, everything already went down. The Blacklist the Blacklist redemption had its own conclusion that we, as the audience, are not privy to, essentially. So it's probably just always going to be something, like I said, slightly mentioned. They're kind of referencing it here and there, but they just kind of let it go. So, it does seem like Tom is going to be keeping Reddington very close eye on him, because he even went through the trouble of inviting him to dinner with him and Liz. So, which, Tom's always been kind of reluctant when it came to Reddington, just all across the board, which is interesting considering the fact of how this all started for them in any regard. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm stammering on my words tonight. So like I said, obviously, the big thing walking away from this is who is the body? There's still that part of me that's thinking on some level, is it going to be Liz's, is that actually Liz's, is once again, I kind of brought it up last episode. Is it a situation of the person we know as Reddington isn't the real Reddington? Because the fact of the matter is, you would think so, not unless he has some kind of plastic surgery to make himself look like that or something. I'm curious, because it's part of me wonders, could they have been alluding to this even way back then? Because I referenced the con artist who was sick and just wanted to kind of give one final big performance and ended up, pretending to be the quote unquote real Raymond Reddington. And so I'm wondering, was that them telling you even back then about this whole situation, or what is it? Is this actually, because something that they brought up before and it still never really came back fully was oh yeah, she shot her dad. Well, then again, there was a whole thing about her memories that got removed, that she ended up losing, because that's still the element that never came back too. Is the fact of the matter is, like, she has memories that she still hasn't gotten back, but the guy was like, oh, I can give you your memories back last season. So that's still something that's possibly going to happen. Like, not less, because I forgot if they were saying the whole, like, implanting memories, like the whole, like, her shooting her dad, because she remembered that. So whether that was implanted or not. So that's why I'm wondering. We need to check this body, see if this body has a bullet wound. Because if the body has a bullet wound, this could be the person that Liz shot when she was a kid. Not unless that is 100% be it. But it's that thing where it's like, Reddington has always made it clear that he would never lie to Liz. Which on occasion, he's stretched the truth, but he's never outright lied. No, but he has lied before because he was like, I'm not your dad, when in fact he is her dad. So I don't know. And also, once again, an answer I still haven't gotten. What the hell did he say to Kirk to make him leave? Did he finally admit, oh, I'm Liz's dad? Like, those are questions I brought up in season 4's finale that I'm still waiting for answers for that too. Like, will we see Kirk popping up anytime this season? But that's just something we'll just have to wait and see, where the next episode takes us. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.